Welcome to our plan.
Oh boy.
Hey. Laura, thanks again for the big waters, by the way. I appreciate it. I was very parched. I had a big workout before I came here. I mean, if you're offering. No, it's fine.
There's this small one over there too. Run out.
I thought this was, for my mouth,
It also doubles as a
Is it
breath
kill-
freshener.
It kills COVID apparently.
Breath sanitizer.
Yeah.
We're good.
Oh, man.
If it tastes a little funny, let's go with it.
Just wash it down.
Nothing dangerous at all in there.
60% alcohol.
Does it make you nervous then?
Really?
Right at the last minute.
Yes,
I would have made it up.
every
Well, you heard that occasionally the liquor factories did make sanitizers.
Gotta work on the roll call. I finally broke the old habit. I got so used to the order, and now it's scrambled again.
Yeah,
Short circuit my brain.
yeah. And 2 new names today.
I know. At least I don't have to practice. I had to Havelis.
It's actually it's Havelis.
Havelis?
Yeah, there you
Oh,
go.
perfect. There you go.
I just never,
Havelis.
Boom.
I would just sit at my desk repeating it over and over again. And
Oh.
the problem is I probably the first time said it wrong. And
You did. It's my
I
guy.
had it
over here.
phonetically for a while. And
That's okay. I used to say your name at my desk a lot too.
Thank you.
Just repeating it.
Hey, Jason, you there? Hello? Jacob?
access on the east side of the site connecting out to Broomfield, as well as to the Central Michigan Common Shopping Center. We'll anticipate that with the resubmittal, we'll get those barrier-free parking spaces shown, as well as the required sidewalk connection to the building, which we would ask be aligned with the barrier-free aisle of those spaces to provide safe pedestrian access. The applicant has shown some bicycle parking on the site, but we don't have specifications on the type and quantity of that parking, and so we'll be looking for that to be added. Because of the size of the existing building, that standard will likely relate back to the number of vehicular parking spaces provided. Based on the 14 currently shown, there would be 3 bicycle parking spaces required. However, with the addition of that barrier-free parking, we may see that number go down to that 1 per 5 standard. We may see that drop to 2 if there's only 10 vehicles parking spaces ultimately. In terms of other standards, the applicant is proposing to build a new dumpster enclosure on the northeast corner of the parking lot. We will need some specifications to ensure it conforms to the requirements of the CD5 zoning district. In the CD5 district, there is a requirement for trees in the first lot layer, 1 per 50 foot of frontage. There's an existing tree in the northwest corner of the property, and so we'll be looking for 2 additional trees to be planted in the landscaping area that's between the parking lot and the sidewalk. At this point, there's no mechanical equipment shown on the plans. If any mechanical equipment is going to be added to the property, it would need to be screened from the street and adjacent properties in accordance with the requirements of the CD5 district. And in terms of street screening, there is an existing evergreen screen along the parking lot that's consistent with the requirements for the district. Staff's recommendation after the public hearing is that the Planning Commission approve SUP 2206 and SPR 2210, subject to the following conditions. 1, the proposed stacking lane be extended to the easterly portion of the site so that it is fully located in the 3rd lot layer, consistent with the special use permit requirements for drive-through establishments. 2, the applicant shall submit an updated site plan which demonstrates compliance with the minimum specifications for the following standards: parking dimension and layout, pedestrian access, bicycle parking, private landscaping, and dumpster enclosure. And 3, the applicant shall comply with the requirements of building safety, and public works.
Any questions for Mr. Kane?
I'm just curious, the reference to the stacking into the easterly portion of the site, so it's fully located in the 3rd lot layer. Are we saying that the stacking would go this way around? Is that
Essentially, yeah. So it would probably wrap the south edge of that landscaped area to the north side as a U, and there's well over 200 foot of space there. So we'll just be looking for striping or signage that'll indicate that that's the direction of the queue to ensure that it's able to stack in the location that code requires.
very good? Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Kane? If the applicant would come up.
Hi.
Hello. Is there anything you want to say?
No, I apologize. You guys were muted for like the first portion of that, so I couldn't hear what was being said, but the medical was approved to be moved, so now we're just looking to transfer that other license over and move into the building on Pickard.
Oh, we actually approved your application.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It seems like Michael Stein was about to say something.
Hi, good evening. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. No, sorry, I was just coughing into the phone. Sorry. No, I'm the attorney with JARS, but no, I have nothing to add.
Thank you. Is the applicant for the SCP 2206 and SPR 2210 here?
It's not appear that they are.
Okay.
No, we're appearing via Zoom. We didn't know that you needed us there.
But you were here for a different hearing. We're actually doing a a hearing unrelated to JARS right now.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Since the applicant for SCP-2206 and SPR-2210 isn't here, I guess we can move on to discussion.
We'll need to hold a public
Oh, you're
hearing.
right.
And if there's any questions about the application, I can attempt to field those as best I can, if you have any information you require before taking action.
Thank you, and thank you for reminding me it's a public hearing. I will open up public comment if anyone from the public would like to comment. Don't see anyone here.
No electronic communications or any folks on Zoom with hands raised.
Thank you. I will close public comment and open up discussion.
Move to approve SUP 2206 and SPR 2210, subject to the following conditions. 1, the proposed stacking lane should be extended to the easterly portion of the site so that it is fully located in the third lot layer, consistent with the special use permit requirements for drive-through establishments. 2, the applicant shall submit an updated site plan which demonstrates compliance with the minimum specifications for the following standards: parking dimensional layout, pedestrian access, bicycle parking, private landscaping, and dumpster enclosure. And 3, the applicant shall comply with the requirements of building safety, public safety, and public works.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is SCP 2207. Mr. Kane?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good news is we have both of our applicants present for the next 2 cases, so shouldn't have any more hybrid meeting hiccups, I hope. Our next public hearing is a request for a special use permit for an accessory dwelling unit. The subject property is located at 931 South Fancher in the CD3 suburban zoning district. There's a future land use of residential. The current and prior uses as a single-family dwelling, and our applicant, Sean Sturgia, is here in the audience tonight to answer your questions. Site area is just shy of a 1/4 acre. On the wrong way. Subject property is located at the northeast corner of South Fancher and East Gaylord Streets. This is just around the corner from Fancher School and just north of Central Michigan University. The subject property is located in an area that's predominantly zone CD3 suburban, like the subject property, with a future land use of residential. 3 of the adjacent land uses are single-family dwellings. The property to the north is a single-family dwelling that has an accessory dwelling unit similar to the request tonight at the subject property. Here's a view of current conditions of the property. This is taken from Fancher looking towards the south and east, so Gaylord Street would be just to the right on the image. You'll see in the foreground there's a former garage with 2 windows, slightly different character than the rest of the dwelling. That is the area in which the applicant's proposing to modify the interior to create an accessory dwelling unit. On the screen, you'll see a perspective, sort of the opposite perspective, looking from East Gaylord towards the north and west. And so you'll see an existing garage on the property that's detached in the rear of the historic home structure. The home, the integrity of that existing single-family home will be maintained. It is a later addition where the accessory dwelling unit is proposed to be constructed. Accessory dwelling units are permitted in the CD3 zoning district subject to special use permit, and there are several specific criteria that apply to an accessory dwelling in order to get approval. The applicant has met those criteria. They're outlined in your packet, and they're outlined on the screen as well. And so with that, staff's recommendation is that the Planning Commission, after the public hearing, approve SUP 2207, subject to the following condition. The applicant shall comply with the requirements of building safety and public works. Madam Chair, I'll turn it over to you for questions.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Kane? The applicant would like to come up.
I just have a couple things to add. Over the last 2 weeks, we did get the water main repairs done, so both houses now have their appropriate shutoffs. And we also made up our easement agreements for the sewer lines. And there was something else, but I totally blanked on what it was. Oh yes, I had the fire marshal come out and look at the building to make notes of possible issues in terms of building safety. And the only one that he had made noted of was the bedroom window needed to be changed, which we are taking steps currently to correct that if this is to be approved. So Other than that, that's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant? Thank you. I will open up the public comment portion of this hearing if anyone would like to comment. Don't see anyone here. Are there any electronic communications?
No, and it doesn't appear we have anyone on Zoom looking to comment.
Thank you. I will close public comment and open up discussion.
Move to approve SUP 2207, subject to the following condition. The applicant shall comply with the requirements of building safety and public works.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is SUP 2208. Mr. Kane?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Our next public hearing is a request for special use permit for a short-term rental. The subject property is located at 220 North Kinney and 608 East Chippewa. This property is also located in the CD3 suburban zoning district. I apologize on the screen that future land use should say residential. Current and prior use of the property is as a single-family dwelling with an attached accessory dwelling unit. Property owner and applicant are Ryan Litwiller and Lisa Jonitis. And the site area is just shy of a half acre. The property is located on the southeast corner of North Kinney and East Chippewa Streets in the CD3 zoning district. This is just to the north and east of downtown Mount Pleasant. Surrounding land uses are primarily single-family, future land use of residential, and similar zoning to the subject property of CD3 suburban. On the screen is a perspective of the 608 East Chippewa site, which is the accessory dwelling unit. This structure, as I understand it, was originally constructed as a doctor's office for a physician that resided in the main home. And so it has a slightly different architectural character from the existing home, but it has been located here for several decades. The Planning Commission in 2015 approved the property to be a duplex under our prior zoning ordinance, which allowed for that space to be converted from its prior office use into a separate dwelling. On the screen, you'll see the opposite perspective. This is taken from North Kinney looking towards the northeast. And so you'll see the primary single-family dwelling structure to which the accessory dwelling is attached. The applicant is proposing to use only the accessory dwelling as a short-term rental. The applicants are owner occupants of the primary dwelling and will remain so under the proposed conditions. Short-term rentals are allowed subject to special use permit in the CD3 zoning district, and there are several specific criteria that apply to short-term rentals. Those are outlined in your report and on the screen. The applicant's proposed conditions are compliant with all of those standards. And so with that, staff's recommendation's an easy one. If anyone wants to take up the motion, this would be the one to grab, would be to, after the public hearing, approve SUP 2208.
Thank you, Mr. Kane. Any questions for Mr. Kane?
Hey, Mr. Kane, for the benefit of the new commissioners too, could you define what a short-term rental is? Is that an Airbnb or is that a seasonal rental or?
That's a good question. I'm going to go ahead and pull my code out.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. Just so I get it exactly right, because we do have several different dwelling types, and I don't want to misspeak. But yes, Airbnb would be kind of the shorthand, everyday parlance for what folks generally mean and think of when they talk about a short-term rental. But essentially, the idea would be that you would have a shorter term tenancy than you would typically have in a rental property. So a short-term rental is a dwelling unit that provides temporary accommodations for a period of less than 28 days. So,
thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions for Mr. Kane? If the applicant would like to come up?
I don't think we really have anything to say, but if you have questions, we're willing to answer them.
Any questions for the applicant?
Is it an Airbnb?
That's what we're hoping to have the freedom to do that, or and be able to use it ourselves for family and stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions for the applicant? Thank you.
Thanks.
I will open up the public comment portion of this hearing, and if anyone from the public would like to speak. not see anyone here.
No electronic communications or Zoom participants either.
Thank you. I will close public comment and open up discussion.
Gonna motion to approve SUP 2208.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is TC 2205. Mr. Kane?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Our last public hearing tonight is a text amendment. This would modify the city's current regulations as they relate to childcare organizations in two principal ways. One, it would move group daycare homes and childcare centers from special uses to permitted uses in the districts where they're currently allowed as special uses. And it would also expand the districts in which childcare centers are permitted. And so we'll be adding the SDRC and civic zones for childcare centers and making group daycare homes and childcare centers permitted uses in all the districts where they're currently allowed as special uses under the code. This was introduced to you at your May meeting, and so staff's recommendation tonight is after the public hearing that the Planning Commission recommend the City Commission adopt text change 2205.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Kane? I will open up the public comment portion of this hearing if anyone from the public would like to comment. Do not see anyone here that wants to comment. Mr. Kane?
Does not appear we have any electronic communications at this time.
Thank you. I'll close public comment and open up discussion.
Move to approve that the City Commission adopt text change 2205.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is public comment. If anyone would like to make a comment, this is your last opportunity to do so. So please feel free to come up. Not see anyone here wanting to speak. Mr. Kane?
No electronic communications at this time.
Thank you. I'll close public comment. And next item on the agenda is under new business. Discuss amendment to section 154.410B4 of the zoning ordinance regarding registered student organization dwellings and consider setting a public hearing on the issue at the July 7th, 2022 regular meeting. Mr. Kane?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Our next item was discussed by the Planning Commission at your May work session, and it will essentially result in two changes to the code as it relates to registered student organization dwellings. One, it would adjust the location requirements for an RSO dwelling to mirror the current requirements for rooming dwellings. As they currently exist, RSO dwelling location standards are stricter than those for rooming dwellings. This modification would allow for greater flexibility on the location of those RSO dwellings, primarily impacting properties that are along the east side of South Main Street, south of High. The Planning Commission, some of you who've been on the Planning Commission for a while will recall that in 2015, the Planning Commission undertook some amendments to the rules for RSOs and rooming dwellings that included creating a buffer between what was then the R3 zoning district and the existing M2 zoning district. Those buffer standards carried over even as the zoning map changed. And so these buffers used to apply to an area that's much further east. And so this would, I think, makes more sense in the light of the existing zoning map to provide some parity between the rules for RSOs and rooming dwellings. The second change is to really codify the existing practice where when a RSO dwelling, when the RSO residing in the dwelling loses its recognition by the university, there's not really a default to a rooming dwelling under the code, but in practice, that's been the pattern in the history. And so this would just put that into code to make it clear that if an RSO loses its status, that property can be used and would default into rooming dwelling status in that interim period. And so that's an overview of the proposed changes. I think relatively minor, but could potentially have a beneficial impact for those registered student organizations that sometimes struggle to find suitable housing in the limited areas where they're permitted within the city by opening that up a little bit more. And also for just codifying our practice so that it's clear in the code what happens in that otherwise ambiguous situation. So I'd welcome any questions, Madam Chair, that you might have. Otherwise, just looking to set up public hearing on the item for your July meeting.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Kane? Would anyone like to make a motion? Or discuss?
Move to set a public hearing to consider the proposed text changes at our July 7th, 2022 regular meeting.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is discuss amendment to section 154.410 C2B and table 154.410A of the zoning ordinance regarding Group B special regulated uses, and consider setting a public hearing on this issue at the July 7th regular meeting. Mr. Kane?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Also, in your May work session, the Planning Commission discussed the city's current list of special regulated uses and potential modifications to the uses included on that list. The ordinance presented to you tonight would remove two use categories from that list of special regulated uses, and that includes palm readers, psychic readers, horoscope analysis, or other professions purporting to predict the future, as well as pool and billiard halls. So that would be the impact of that ordinance, would be removal of those uses. Through the removal of those uses, those would be categorized under more broad categories within the use table by not being specifically called out, and would likely become permitted uses in the district or special uses depending on, for instance, if a pool or billiard hall was associated with a liquor license, it may be categorized as a special use under those standards. So staff's recommendation tonight is just simply that the Planning Commission set a public hearing on this item for your July meeting.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Kane? Any discussion or a motion?
Move to set a public hearing to consider the proposed text change at the July 7th, 2022 meeting.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is staff report, Mr. Kane.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We do have two administrative reviews to report out, and the first I'm excited to share was our first project approved under our new minor site plan review process. So it was nice to give that a trial run with that application. I think it went very well. We were able to turn that around in just a couple business days, and the applicant was very appreciative that it was a lower cost and faster service. That was an application to add a 100 square foot building addition to a catering business located at 1010 West Broadway. Our second administrative approval was for 1217 South Mission. This was for a reconstruction of an existing parking area at that business. I wanted to give an opportunity tonight for our two new Planning Commission members to introduce themselves. I think some of you had an opportunity to meet before the meeting, and I apologize for putting you on the spot, but if you just want to share your name, your entire history and background, deep personal secrets, and then we'll move on to our next item. Andrew, you want to start us off?
Andrew Davini, I'm the Associate Director for the Center for Learning Through Games and Simulations at Central Michigan University. So I've lived in Mount Pleasant since I was a student here in the 90s.
Welcome.
I'm Kelly Nicholas. I've lived here again since '96. I too was a student here and then never left, and got 3 additional degrees again from there since then and so forth. And right now I'm a leasing manager again for an apartment complex in town again that geared toward again senior housing.
Welcome.
Well, welcome to the Planning Commission, both of you.
I admit those secrets were a little underwhelming. Bill Merdeza is here tonight to join us, and I know he wants to say a few words, but if you want to go up to the podium before, as he's making his way up, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. It's been an absolute pleasure working with the Planning Commission for the last 7.5 years. It really has. It's been fun, even when it's been challenging and weird. And we all know it's been challenging and weird at different points. Mount Pleasant's an amazing city. A lot of great people here. I know you guys will continue to do a great job going forward and making sure the future of Mount Pleasant is a good one. Holding tight on standards and making sure Mount Pleasant doesn't give on things we don't need to give on, because we're worth good stuff here. So keep up the fight, and I look forward to seeing great things happen here from a slight distance, 30 miles or so east of here. So, and thank you for being so hospitable to me as your staff. I would say not every planner in the state is fortunate enough to work with planning commissions that are as generous and funny and nice to work with as you guys have always been in all your permutations for 7.5 years. I've never dreaded coming here. It's always been a lot of fun. So I really appreciate it.
You will definitely be missed.
Yes.
Bill.
Thank you. I think I've met most of you at one point or another, but I'm Bill Merdeza. I'm the Community Services Division Director. And I just wanted to, one, acknowledge the stellar work that Mr. Kane has done in his 7 years here. And I don't think I need to go on and on, because you guys have been very closely associated with him in your work. You've all done excellent work, and I think under Jacob's leadership, we as the city have benefited greatly for that. And I will say that not only personally but professionally, he will be greatly missed. So we know where to find him, though, if we need him. So. But again, just acknowledge the stellar work Jacob's done. An amazing individual, amazing professional, and we're greatly going to miss him. I just wanted to also indicate to you that as we move forward from Mr. Kane's departure, you can expect to see me a bit more at your meetings. Just I certainly cannot replace what Jacob does or how he conducts his meetings, and so hopefully we'll be able to move forward, perhaps a bit more hesitantly at first, but move forward with the business of the Planning Commission. At the present time, we're working on some opportunities to fill in for our planning services that Mr. Kane will be vacating. So I want to assure you that we will do our level best to make sure that we continue to have the appropriate level of professionalism and planning services available to address the work of the Planning Commission as we move forward. The first month or so might be a little bit rough as we kind of ease into that, or at least adjust our expectations a bit. But so bear with us, and I'll have more to say about that either via email or perhaps at your next meeting, hopefully before your next meeting, in terms of what we are able to deliver in that regard. The other thing that I will mention is that we are in the process of finalizing the back of the house paperwork, if you will, that is required for us to move forward with advertising the vacancy that Jacob is leaving. And so as we get that done, hopefully by middle of next week, get the approvals and the language set forth and that type of thing, we'll be able to put out the advertisements for the position quickly. And I'm hopeful that it won't take us as long as when we last had a vacancy more than 7 years ago to fill that position. But in the interim, as I said, we will take the steps necessary to make sure that we continue to provide the services that you require and the city requires as far as our planning services. And we certainly do not want to go backwards from the great work that you guys have all done. So again, just a brief update at this point. Put a name with a face here for me, and I'll probably be seeing you a bit more than I have in the past. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
You guys have all done a great job of not being difficult for the last 7.5 years, so now's your chance. Take your opening while it's here.
Anything further?
That's it for staff report tonight.
Well, I guess if anyone would like to make a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Meeting adjourned.
Yeah, gavel.
So I wasn't sure who to share this with, but
So what do you,
next month will be.
what do you do for
my-
your,
I usually
pita bread?
like
When you
once a
pita?
year.
I just go to
meeting, but I'm not
whatever.
able to
I
make it
usually go to,